Games are meant to be played, but some don't get the attention that they should. And the survival genre is about as packed with competition as you can imagine, so we at gameranx thought we'd put together a list of a few of them that seem to get passed by when they really shouldn't be. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 best survival games that are always ignored. Starting off with number 10, it's SCUM. Now, when people talk about the best survival games, there's all the expected names like The Forest, Green Hell, Don't Starve, Valheim. Don't take that derisively, these are all very good games. But you just don't hear about SCUM at all. I mean, other than the graphics, which are frankly exceptional, even now. Other than that, the game kind of looks like just another first-person zombie survival game. But what makes it different is just how complex it can get. If you thought the metabolism system from Green Hell was complicated, then you're not ready for this game. It has probably the most in-depth health and food system of any survival game that I have seen, at very least. Now, it's not a perfect game, of course. It came out in 2018, and it is, at this very moment, in early access. Like, I just went to it and checked to be sure. That's a long time to be in early access. There are bugs, and it's still primarily a PvP game. The PvE experience is not particularly interesting, I'll say. They are planning to add AI enemies to the map so you can play it by yourself, if that is an issue for you. But otherwise, this is actually one of the most beautiful and complex survival games out there, and deserves way more credit and mentions than it gets. At number 9 is Chernobylite, a pretty interesting game that combines elements of several games, some roguelikes, some FPSs, and it makes something that's pretty unique. On one hand, it's a story-based RPG with branching paths, but there's also a survival system that you need to keep your allies fed and happy. There's elements of base building on top of the usual missions, and they get increasingly more treacherous as the game goes on. Now, compared to SCUM, the survival systems here are basic. But for what this game is trying to do, it's exactly what it needs. An interesting thing about this game is that while there's a lot of branching paths, only a few of them actually lead to good ends. So you're constantly rewinding and trying to figure out like different things to achieve good results. Hard to explain, but a very, very cool and interesting game. Yes, the translation is not the best, but the gameplay is more than solid and the story is very intriguing. It's not the most hardcore survival game, but it's still one of the best that doesn't get attention. At number 8 is Empyrion Galactic Survival. This is a massive open world survival game with just an incredible amount going on. It's one of those games that expects you to have a wiki open while you're playing it. So if you're the type of player that really likes to get investing in complex building and stuff that's gonna require knowledge and planning, Empyrion has plenty of it. The game features an entire procedurally generated solar system that you can freely explore in a manner that's similar to No Man's Sky, and while it's not quite as nice looking as that game, the granular detail is a lot higher. You're not just building bases either. You can freely construct your entire spaceship as well. The crafting system is extremely extensive, and doing things by yourself is time consuming. It's another one of those survival games you're encouraged to play online, and it has mostly positive reviews, and the things that it gets docked for are not how the game runs or if the game is fun. It's actually the fact that it's multiplayer heavy. That said, it's got a creative mode, and you can just go nuts with it if you want to. For people who love to build stuff, Empyrion can really scratch that itch, but there is a lot of other stuff to deal with in the game. Plenty of mod support, though. At number 7 is The Planet Crafter, a game that's just got overwhelmingly positive feedback. At first glance, might seem similar to Empyrion, but it probably actually has more in common with Subnautica. It's set on a desolate planet. You're given the mission of terraforming a world for human habitation, and that's what the game's about. You start off with an empty, sandblasted world and turn it into a tropical paradise. This game is much more about base building and crafting, obviously, but everything else about it gives me strong Subnautica vibes. Maybe it's the visuals or the way that you build things, I don't know. The world itself is way more reactive, though. Like, just look at how different things look after you start terraforming the environment. It's one of these games that just has such a huge sense of progression as you play it, and few games can really capture it the way this game does. There's other ones out there, of course, but this is just well more than a fine example of it. And something that's cool about it is it's this good and it's still in early access. So, I mean, yeah, there is only so much you can do before running out of new tech to progress your terraforming efforts, but this is a game that is very strong as of right now. At number 6 is Survivalist Invisible Strain. Don't let the early access tag or the impressively ugly visuals scare you away from this one. Survivalist Invisible Strain is actually one of the most interesting games on this list. Again, early access, came out in 2020, it's been going for a while, and the basic premise is kind of like State of Decay. You're a survivor trying to build up community after the fall of civilization. The survival parts are a lot more hardcore here, though, and the sweet release of death comes much more easy. And also, it's not a sweet release. It's kind of frustrating sometimes. The thing that makes this game stand out, though, is the AI. Every character you meet in this world, sometimes they'll try to rob you, sometimes they'll be afraid of you. Other characters might have ulterior motives and be out for revenge. Like, there's a lot of different stuff going on here. The amount of interactions with NPCs, it's really a lot. There's just so much different stuff that can happen, so many different ways that stuff can go down when you're dealing with people. Like I said, it's not the most beautiful game, but for $7 on Steam, it's absolutely worth it. Especially for people who like State of Decay, but are looking for maybe something with a little more depth, because it's essentially that. Not graphically. Other than that, though. At number 5 is Astroneer. If you have kids who are very creative and wear NASA t-shirts, or you are one of those kids, then you probably already know Astroneer. It's a distinctly cartoony space survival sim that's a lot less hardcore than a lot of the other games I've mentioned on this list so far. It's not about killing you, it's about more or less creating a relaxing experience, which is nice. It's a nice reprieve in the survival genre. To some, I understand that might sound boring, but the actual crafting look and progression and all of that stuff, it's really fun. Although it can get grindy after a while. I think that's okay. The game's primarily about exploration, and the survival elements are kind of there to just add some challenge to the experience. A big part of the fun here comes from reshaping the terrain. You can suck up earth, you can reshape the ground below you, create bridges on the fly. It's actually a major part of traversal, and it's a lot of fun. Some people have compared Astroneer to like an incremental game, and in some ways, yeah, it is. But with an actual story to see and places to explore, it's a little bit more than that. It's definitely not the most complex game, but as a chill experience type game with some less intense survival elements, I think that this game is beyond fun. I've had a lot of fun with it. Just something about it that makes it stick out and just be a good time. At number 4 is Darkwood, a game that really puts the survival into survival horror. There's always been a small element of resource gathering in these types of games, but Darkwood is significantly more nerve-wracking than, most of them. It's one of those games that doesn't look like much, but it's absolutely terrifying. And a big part of that comes from the survival elements. During the day, you wander around the forest, talking to your strange, messed up neighbors, collecting resources, and you better do all of that stuff, because when the night falls, that's when all of the horrors that lurk in the forest come for you. You gotta barricade your house and set traps to survive the night. It's one of the most disorienting and nightmarish games I've played. The scary stuff keeps you on edge, but the survival stuff, that's what's gonna make you sweat. The game always feels like you're on the verge of failure at all times, and it just never lets up. At number 3 is V Rising, a fairly recent combination of Diablo and crafting. This game came out in 2022. It's still in early access, but what makes it stand out as an early access game is how crazy polished it is. The game looks fantastic, and it's got a great combat system that augments its great crafting system that make building up a sweet castle in this game a lot of fun. Like, the highlights are the base building. It's got a satisfying minion system as well, and the survival elements of the game, yeah, they're not really advanced or anything, but it checks the boxes, okay? It is definitely a grind here. You're mainly going out, getting resources, and upgrading your castle, which enables you to improve your gear, and that lets you take on tougher bosses. I consider it a pretty satisfying gameplay loop, as long as you don't mind some repetitive stuff, because I'm not going to lie, that is an element of this type of a loop. Now, I'm not going to tell you I'm really super invested in the game now. I played it when it came out, but back then the game was pretty well balanced for multiplayer, so that's either going to be a turn on or a turn off for people, I'm sure. That said, I think it is really a fantastic example of everything it's trying to do. At number 2 is Card Survival. Indeed a good game. Yeah, it stays pretty damn good all the way through till the end. Whether it's braving the waves on your raft till rescue or resigning yourself to a comfortable, albeit lonely life on the island, both the raft and the homestead are big projects, suitable end goals, and you can steadily build towards either, or both, or whatever. The game also has a handful of mods you can find on the Nexus that help alleviate some of the quality of life woes, but at its core, it's a game that really boils down the survival sim to its bare essentials. The entire thing is presented like the world's most complicated game of solitaire. You give it a bunch of cards, and now it's time to survive. If you need good graphics to play a survival game, Card Survival's not the game for you. But if you want one of the best, most complex and interesting survival simulations out there, and can look past some pretty plain card art, this is where you go. The top review on Steam compared it to Green Hell, and I definitely see it. You're trying to survive in an inhospitable area of nature, and you can die of pretty much everything. Now, this is one of those games that has a pretty nasty learning curve. You're gonna die from a lot of random stuff that you did not expect, and Green Hell is actually less confusing. It's not just wild animals that can kill you, it's disease, minor injuries that are left untreated, that kind of stuff. The game doesn't look like much, and it's mostly ignored when people are talking about survival games, but it is great. Like, trust me on this one, it's really good. And finally, at number 1, it's Vintage Story, a survival game that is ignored for one very simple reason: it is not on Steam. That is a massive chunk of your potential player base just not there, and probably the main reason the game doesn't get as much mainstream attention as other survival games. Now, what starts off looking like an everyday Minecraft clone is actually something significantly more. It is not intuitive at all. You are going to need a wiki guide to have any idea what to do, but the building and crafting mechanics have an incredible amount of depth to them. The part of the game that stands out to me is the farming. Like, in most games, you plant something, maybe add some fertilizer, and then you wait. In Vintage Story, each plant has a growing season, it has ideal temperatures. If it's too hot, too cold, crops will just go bad. Also, food can spoil if not properly stored. There's multiple levels of preservation, each with their own positives and negatives that affect different foods differently. And that's just talking about crops. Everything else in the game exists at that level of detail. Like, cave tunnels can collapse, your house will get damaged from weather, it'll start to fall apart. There are enemies, but the game actually is extremely difficult without having to deal with sieges, so I mean, that's some icing on the difficulty cake. Don't overlook this as a Minecraft clone. It's one of the best survival games out there, and it's still being consistently updated. There are a ton of user-made mods to try out, so if you're into survival games, you gotta at least try this one. I have a feeling you'll like it.
And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.